Good morning, it's Lisa here from Rocco Baby Crochet. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make these baby teething rings. They're really cute, they're really beginner friendly, but it's only using a double crochet all the way around. That's UK terms. In American terms that's a single crochet. So it's a really simple little project, quite quick to make, and they look really cute and they're lovely to give as a gift. If you know somebody who is having a little baby. So there's a pink one. I've done one in purple. These two I've used a bamboo yarn with, and it's the first time I've used bamboo, to be honest, and I love it. I've fallen in love with it. So this is Woolcraft Baby Lux double knit, and the purple one, if you wanted to know, is shade 70632. So that's the purple elephant. And the pink one is, again, it's Woolcraft Baby Lux double knit, it's bamboo, and this is shade 70366. So I'm going to make another one. I'm going to be using this blue for my third one, and this one isn't a bamboo, it's a cotton, and this one that I'm using is Rico Designs Creative Cotton double knit. I'll show you a label. I just spilled coffee over the band to this one, so that's what the band looks like. Obviously that's a different colour, but that's what the band looks like. And this is called Party, this blue one. Okie dokie, so what you're going to need for this video, let's just move them out of the way a little bit. You're going to need a 3mm crochet hook, the yarn of your choice. You're going to need one of these wooden rings, natural wooden rings. You can order them on Amazon or eBay. Mine's a 5.5cm ring. I've got 2 of these 5mm safety eyes. Just show you what they are like. So I've got 2 of them, obviously. Little eyes for him. Just put them there so I don't lose them. A darning needle and a pair of scissors. If you're new to crochet, like I always say, go ahead and use stitch marker to keep track of where you're up to. But it is a really nice, quick and simple little project for you to make. You'll also need some toy stuffing. You can actually I've not done these for these ones, I just wanted a soft toy, but you can actually turn these into a rattle as well. So if you pop a bell or something in the middle, or something that I found an easy way to do it is if you get these out of the little chocolate eggs and put some beads in them, and then they'll sit in the middle. Your elephant will be a little bit fatter, so it'll be a bit more like that, but they still look really cute. So that's an easy way to do it. So you just get the chocolate egg, this out of the middle, put a couple of beads or something in there, and that makes a nice rattle as well, just in case you wanted to make it rattle. I'm not today, but the option's yours. Okay, let's get going. So to start this project, you want to make yourself a slip knot. And insert your hook, tighten it up on the knot. And the first thing that we need to do is do a base chain of 15. So you're yarning over and pulling through to form a chain. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And you do that until you've got a total of 15 chains. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. So what we need to do is we're going to single crochet back down along this chain, but what we want to do is skip the first chain from the hook. So remember, this on the hook counts for nothing, so that's your first chain, and here is your second chain. So into that second chain from the hook you are going to place 2 double crochets or single crochets if you're American. 1 and 2. Now if you're a little bit unsure or you're new to crochet, place a stitch marker into your first one here and then you don't lose it. And then all we're doing for row 1 is we're placing 1 double crochet in each of the stitches going along. For you should have a total of 13 left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I've got 1 left, so that makes 13. So just place my last double crochet into row 1. So next we want to chain 1 and turn our work. So chain 1, remember, like you're turning a page in a book, turn your work, and then you're going to work back up, going directly into where your chains come out of. So this chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so you're going back straight into that first stitch, and we're going to double crochet into the first 14 stitches. 1, 2, which will leave us 1 at the end, and we're going to pop 2 double crochet into that end one. So if you want to hit pause, and I'll come back to you when I've got my 14. So I'm just at my very last stitch of row 2, which is here, and I need to place 2 double crochet into that one. 1 and 2. So again, if you're new to crochet, you're going to want to mark these with stitch markers. So to move on to row 3, chain 1, turn your work again into the top of your first double crochet right here. You want to place 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, and then you're just going to work down the rest of the chain, placing 1 double crochet into each of the stitches. So you should have 15 stitches. So I'll meet you when you've completed your 15 stitches. If you'd like to hit pause, work your way along row 3. So I've just done my last stitch into row 3, and I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and into this first double crochet here, and the first 16 stitches we're just going to place 1 double crochet, and into the very last stitch we'll be placing 2 again. So if you want to hit pause and come back to me when you are at your very last stitch, and we'll work the increase together. I've just finished my 16 double crochet. I've got 1 stitch left just here, so I know that my count is correct, and I want to just place 2 double crochets into that last stitch. 1 and 2. So for row 5 we are going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to work all the way back down, the first one that we're going to put, again making it an increase, and place 2 double crochets into that first stitch, and then into the next 7 stitches we're going to just place, 17 stitches, we're just going to place 1 double crochet. So it's 19 stitches in total for row 5, and I'll meet you when you have finished your double crochets and you've got to your last one. So if you want to hit pause. I've just finished my row 5 and I've got 19 stitches going across in total, so I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and for row 6 you want to be placing again 1 double crochet all the way along until the very last stitch, where we're going to place 2 and do another increase, and that's going to give us a total of 20 stitches for row 6. So if you want to make your way along, hit pause and we'll do the increase together. So I have just finished row 6, so I'm going to move on to row 7. So row 7, 8, 9 and 10 are all going to be the same. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to just crochet 1 double crochet into the next 16 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hello, Tiddlywinks. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. Oh, Tilly, look at her. It's a good job these are only for the video and they're not for anybody, Tilly. Okay, so that's row 7 completed. So you're just going to chain 1, turn your work, and then 1 double crochet all the way back up for a total of 16 for row 8, 9 and 10. So you're just going to work them in exactly the same way. So when you've completed up to row 10, we'll move on to row 11 together if you'd like to hit pause. Okay, I've just finished row 10. So it should be looking a little bit like this now. This is your elephant's back leg. This is his tummy. So what we want to do now is for row 11, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to place 1 double crochet into each of these 16 stitches, and then when you come to the end of that, we're going to chain 5. So if you want to go along and make your 16 double crochets, and then I'll come back to you when I'm at my 16th as well, and we'll do the chain 5 and start round 12 together. Okay, if you'd like to hit pause. So I've just placed my last double crochet into the stitch, and what I want to do now is I want to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then we're going to turn our work and we want to work back up this chain. So what we want to do is skip this first chain and double crochet into this one and then the next 3. So you'll have 4 double crochet placed into this chain in total. So skip your first one, remembering this doesn't count as one. So there's our first one, there's our second one, going straight into there, placing 1 double crochet, and then 1 into the next 3 chains, and that's a total of 4 you should have going up the chain. little bit fiddly. So there's my 4, and that's the start of the elephant's front leg. So now all we need to do is 1 double crochet into each of these 16 stitches from the round before. So work my way back up, and if you want to hit pause, I'll meet you back when I've completed my row. Okay, so that is row 12 completed. So rows 13, 14, 15 and 16 are really simple. You just go into chain 1, turn your work and place 1 double crochet all the way down. You should have a total of 20 stitches. And then when you get to the end, chain 1, turn your work 20 back. So that's the same for row 13, 14, 15 and 16. So if you want to pause the video and come back to me when you have completed row 16, and I will see you in a second. Okay, I have just finished row 16, and this is what your elephant should start to look like. So we've got his back legs, his tummy, his front leg. So now we're going to be working on this little bit here and making his head. So for row 17, what you want to do is chain 1 and turn your work, and we're just going to work 1 double crochet into the first 14 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. So for row 18, you're just going to chain 1, turn your work and work 1 double crochet into the top of those 14 stitches of row 17. 2, 3. So if you want to hit pause and come back to me when you've got your 14 stitches for row 18. I've just finished row 18. I'm going to move on to row 19, and this is where we start to shape the elephant's head. So what we want to do is chain 1, turn our work, and into these first 2 stitches here we're going to do a decreasing double crochet, decreasing single crochet for anybody who's following in America. So you want to insert your hook into your first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then instead of finishing off the stitch you're going to go directly into your second stitch along, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and take off all 3 loops on your hook. And then for the rest of this row we're just going to do 1 double crochet into each of the next 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these are really beginner friendly, these elephants, but the best advice I could give you is to make sure you're counting every row so you know you've got the right amount of stitches. That's really good. This 12th stitch, what we want to do is add a chain count of 7. So this is going to make his trunk. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And then what we're going to do is double crochet back up, again skipping this first chain here and working into this second chain, and we're going to double crochet our way up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's our last one, 6. And then what we're going to do is we are going to place a double crochet in each of these stitches until we get to the last 2, because we're going to be doing another decrease there. So let's do that together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I've 2 stitches left, so I'm going to work a decrease. So yarn over, pull up a loop, and then go into the last stitch of the row, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Okie dokie. So for row 21 we're going to chain 1, turn our work, we're going to make another decrease in these first 2 stitches. So yarn over, pull up a loop, move across into your second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then we're going to work our way down here in double crochet, and you should have a total of 16. So if you hit pause, and I'll come back to you when we've finished this row. So I'm just at my last stitch, and I just wanted to show you, so it's just right there. So because we chained 1, that's our chain 1, that's basically our turning chain, and that's our first stitch there. So this is why counting is so important in this project, because they can look a little bit similar, and if you go into the wrong one, then you're going to have to make 2 of these for each side, so you want your elephants to match up. So that's why counting is so important. Okay, so for row 22 you're going to chain 1, and you're going to double crochet your way back up to here. So you're going to do 13 double crochets and 2 decreases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and as you can see that leaves us with 4 stitches to work. So we're going to make 2 decreases. So into my next stitch I'm going to pop my hook through that, yarn over and pull up a loop, move along to the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then I'm just going to do that to finish this row in the last 2 stitches here. So insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert my hook into the last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So then we're on row 23, which is the very last row. So you want to chain 1, and then what we're going to do is we're going to work 3 decreases. So insert your hook, pull up a loop into that first stitch, move along to the next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, take off all 3. Moving on to your next stitch, do exactly the same, insert your hook, pull up a loop, directly into your next stitch, pull up a loop and take off all 3 loops. The last one, so insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then insert your hook into your next stitch, pull up another loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then just to finish off this row, just slip stitch your way all the way down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So then you want to just chain 1 to tie it off. Now leave yourself a really nice length of yarn, so we're going to need it to sew them together, and also it'll form part of the tail. What I like to do is when I sew in this end, I leave that dangling out as well, so that adds to the tail as well. So you want to make sure you leave yourself sort of quite a big amount of yarn. So I'm going to cut off about 10 inches. So you're going to want to make a second one of those exactly the same. And then just tie it off, pop it to one side. So make 2 of those. And then to make the ears are really quick. So you want to again make a slip knot. And chain 2, 1, 2. Then in the second chain back from the hook, so our very first chain that we made, you're going to pop 3 double crochets in there. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and turn. And into each of these 3 double crochets we're going to place 2, so we're doing an increasing round, so 6 in total. 1, 2, next stitch along, placing 2, 1 and 2, next stitch along, placing 2 in that as well. 1 and 1 and 2. So you're going to chain up and turn your work. So row 3, you're going to place 1 double crochet into this first stitch and then do an increase. So into your second stitch you're going to place 2 double crochet, and then into your next stitch 1, next stitch is an increase, so you're going to place 2, 1, 2, next stitch is 1, and then your last stitch will be an increase, so you're going to place 2 into there. My yarn keeps splitting, bear with me. 1, and 2. So that's row 3. So row 4, chain 1 and turn, and you're going to place 1 double crochet into the first 2 stitches, 1 and let me just take that off my hook, and 2, and then into your third stitch you're going to work your increase, so pop 2 into that one. So 1 into the next one, 1 into the next one, and an increase into the next one. So I'm going to place 2 double crochets in there, and then 1 into my next one, 1 into my next one, and my last stitch will be an increase again, so I'll place 2 into there. So the last round of the ear, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to do 1 single crochet or double crochet in the UK, 1 double crochet into the first 3 stitches, and then into the 4th you're going to do your increase and place 2, 1, 2. So 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then your increase of 2, 1, 2. So then you'll have 4 stitches left to do, just repeat that pattern. So 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and into your last stitch you'll be able to work your last increase, 1 and 2. So you want to chain 1. Remember, in any project like this where you're making soft toys, you're always going to want to leave yourselves a decent tail at the beginning and at the end, just for sewing in. It's not so much with these ears because they're only little, but a bit more than what if you was making blankets. So pull on that chain 1 just to form the knot, and there's the ear. So you're going to want to make 2 of those as well. So I'll just show you quickly how I make the little bar that attaches it. So again, you're going to make a slip knot. Attach your hook, and you're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what we want to do is the second chain from the hook again. We're going to, so 1, 2, insert our hook there, and we're just going to make a double crochet in every chain across. A total of 8 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Chain 1 and turn, and then just work your way back across, and you're going to do this exact same thing for a total of 14 rows. So if you'd like to hit pause and come back to me when you've got your 14 rows. Okay. Okay, I've just completed all 14 rows, and that's what my little tab looks like. I'm just going to single crochet around these 3 sides here just to make it look a little bit neater. So I'm just going to go directly into that stitch there. And work my way all the way around. placing 1 double crochet into every row. Show you what we do when we get to the corner. So to get this to go around the corner, what you want to do is place 3 into your corner stitch. And then just continue around. 1 into each stitch. I'm going to place 3 into this corner again. Now this loose end I'm going to carry it up and double crochet over that, save us sewing in an end. So you want to place your 3 and crochet around your loose end as well. If you don't want to do that, you can sew it in at the end. I'm just saving myself a little job. And then work my way back up, placing 1 double crochet into every row. Need a bit more yarn. I'm getting in a knot here. I think that was 7, 8, so 8. And then when I get to this top corner here, just place my last double crochet, slip stitch to the top of this first one, chain 1, then cut yourself off for about 6 inches just to sew that around your ring. Okay, so you can trim that loose tail out of the way. Just be careful you don't catch anything else. So if you want to grab all your bits that you've made, so you should have 2 halves of the elephant, 2 ears and 1 of these little tabs. And I'll grab my bits together, so you'll need to grab your safety eyes. If you haven't got safety eyes, you can do French knots to make the eyes as well, and you're going to want to grab your stuffing, and if you want to put a bell or a rattle in there, grab that as well, and we'll put them all together. Okay, so I've got all my bits together that I need. So I've got my tab, my 2 sides to the body, my 2 ears. I'm going to start off just by attaching this to the ring first of all. So grab your wooden ring and you just want to thread your loose end, your tail. Then wrap it around the ring, and we are just going to whip stitch it together making sure that we go through both stitches and just move down the stitches, one whip stitch in each stitch. Ooh, that's a lot of S's. Just going to go one more there. And then I just go back across doing exactly the same thing, just so it's extra secure. Nearly there. And then when I get to this end, just before I pull all the thread through, I'll just have to do that again, I got in a knot. Just pop my needle through there. Needles come off. Just make a knot in it, and then we'll feed that up and down this edge, because this is going to be inside the elephant, this sewn bit here, so it doesn't have to look super neat. So just thread that loose end underneath your stitches. And then just go back one final time, skipping this first stitch that you've gone under, and pull it all the way through. Take your needle off, give it a little pull, and then you can trim that loose end there. So the next thing I do is I put the elephants together. So you want to grab both the halves of your elephant, match them up, and first of all what I do is I sew on the ears and attach the eyes. So where I sew on the ears is I generally go into my third groove here, so you can see 1, 2, 3, and I'll sew it across that line there, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is the end in the middle, I just tie in a little bit. So I'll just pop that up that row of stitches. And then go back up. Trim that loose end. Attach your needle again. So round about there. So I try to keep it level on that line. So it's a good guide, that, so the ridge from his chin, I suppose. So I'm just going to again work up and down that, keeping it straight to that line. nearly there. You can make these out of a chunkier yarn as well and make a soft toy. They look really cute as well. If you wanted to do a mummy and a baby elephant, I do that quite a lot. And then just work my way back down just so it's doubly secured. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're making any of these, go across to our Facebook page and show me a picture of what you've made. I'm loving that. Some ladies are putting on the Easter baskets that they've made at the minute, and they look beautiful, and it's just lovely to see them as well. So they've been doing the Easter baskets, the cream egg covers. Still trying to get them 1,000 subscribers, so if you want to click that button at the bottom and subscribe to us, I would appreciate that as well. Just want to take your time doing this because you don't want it to look messy. You want it to look nice and neat. And then just into this last one here, I go right on the edge, and then I just pop it through the back, but I don't go through the elephant body. And then to secure it, I'm just going to run the thread up this side of his ear where it's not going to be seen, it's hidden, and just weave in that loose end. Weave in that loose end up and down there. And then trim that loose end. There we go, there's his ear attached. I place my eye roughly here, so one row in front of the ear. Well, it's officially one ridge in front of the ear. So if you grab your safety eye, so I'm going to go there, pop that, push that through the other side, and then grab your rubber stopper and push that down. And there is your first half of the elephant complete. Before you go ahead and sew on your 82nd one, just match them up again and make sure that you're sewing them on the right side. So match them up, and then you know that you want to put your ear here, so 3 ridges in, and your eye roughly around here, 2 ridges in. So hit pause and come back to me once you've secured your ear and your eye onto your second half of your elephant. I'll show you how I attach it to the ring, stitch it together, add the stuff in. 1 second. Okay, so I've got both, I can't get my words out, both halves of my elephant now with the ears and the eyes attached, and they're looking super cute. So what I'm going to do is, my 2 loose ends, I use one of them to sew round this way, and then so the underside of the elephant's body, and then my other loose end from the other half I use to sew together the top, and I bring them both together around here, and then I use the loose ends as tie it off and use what's left of the loose ends to create this cute little tail here. So what I'll also do is I'm just going to sew up these loose ends, and then they'll add to the tail a little bit as well. And the same on this side. Just sew them up. So all my loose ends are going to be knotted together right at the end and used to make the tail. So I'll attach my needle, but we'll literally we're just whip stitching all the way around. Just thread my needle. Pop the elephant together, and I'm just going to start just on the bottom of his foot there. So I'm going to use this loose end to do the corner when I get back around, and I'm going to whip stitch all the way across, one stitch into every stitch along. So it's really simple. So if you want to be doing that, what you want to do is when you get to sort of here, round about here on your elephant, just stop, because don't forget we've got to stuff it with some toy stuffing. So I will press pause now, and I'll come back to you when I'm up at the back leg. And what we'll do is we'll sew a little bit of this first so we can fill the trunk, the legs, and then I'll show you how we finish him off. So make your way around, just popping a whip stitch into every stitch along, so they'll all match up because it's identical pieces of work. And I'll meet you when you're roughly around here. Don't forget you want to carry these ends up if you want to add them into the tail. You don't need to add them into the tail, but if you want a thicker tail, I do that. So you just sort of whip stitch through them as well. Other than that, you could just tie them in on the inside, completely up to you, but I like having a few extra strands in the tail. So in fact, I'll come back to you when I get to here and we can do that together. Probably a better idea. Okay, hit pause then until you get to this corner of the back leg. Okay, so I've stitched my way across to the corner of the elephant's leg. So what I do is I just for a second put those threads in between there, just so I'm not stitching through them too much, and then I just continue to whip stitch my way up the back legs. I've left myself quite a long enough tail here. If you do this, what you can do is pop your needle through. It's a bit of a pain, and then thread it. I'm just going to keep tight hold of it. I'm just going to try and do another couple of whip stitches. So just to there. Okay, and I just leave that like that. So that'll be where the tail is on this one. So then my loose end from the opposite side, I'm just going to thread my needle into that. And again, I'm just going to whip stitch. So I need to remember we didn't do the corner, we just did the bottom of the leg. So go through that corner one there just to make sure that that's nice and secure. And whip stitch your way up. And when I get, I'll do another couple of stitches, and then once I've done that, I like just to put the tie stuff in at that point, just fill in the trunk and the legs to the elephant, because if you try and do it when it's more stitched together more, it's not impossible, but it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, so it's roughly half stitched together now, so I'm just going to fill the trunk and his legs with a bit of tie stuff in. So the legs are very easy because you can just pop it in there. Push it down with your finger until it's evenly filled. And then for the trunk, what I do is I grab some stuffing and kind of pop it like that there. And then because once it's stitched together it's quite tight, I just use this end of my crochet hook and push it down into the trunk. And that's how I fill them, but it is easy to do this. If you go up here and stitch here, it's more difficult. It's easy when it's still pretty open. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to continue just stitching this together until I get to the top of the head. And then we're going to attach the ring. Then we're nearly done. Just got the tail left. It's really a beginner friendly little thing to make this, but it doesn't look it, I don't think. But it's only really one stitch that you've used all the way around. So when I get up to the top of the head here, I'm going to grab my ring. I'm going to just pop that in the middle, in between, sort of sandwich it like that, and make sure that it's even, so it's going across the line and it's following that, and it's following a line on the other side as well, so it's nice and even. And then you just need to sew along here, making sure that your needle's going through the elephant on the one side, through the tab, and then back out through the elephant. So take your time, make sure that you're catching it all, because you don't want it to fall apart. Try not to make the stitches too big here either, so it's not as noticeable. This is obviously going to be noticeable. There are ways you can do it in one piece, but I just wanted to do a video that was easy for beginners to follow along with. So just keep an eye on where your ring is, making sure that you're happy with the position as you go along, because it will move as you're twisting your work back and forth. And that's that attached. So I just need to work my way back down now. Down the body. Bear with me, I just want to grab my stuff in. Okay, I've just got my stuff in. Before we stuff the elephant, what I want to do is these loose ends, which we're going to use as tails, I'm just going to tie a little knot in them from my first loose end that we sewed the bottom half of the elephant together with, just so when I sew it we don't lose those loose ends. Sorry, when I stuff it we don't lose those loose ends. So there's that. Then I'm just going to add my stuffing. You want to make sure that you're doing this evenly. If you're using the safety eyes, you want to make sure that you get enough around the eyes so that those prongs of the eyes are stuffed, so that they're not going to poke through the material. That's quite important. Just a bit more. And then I'm quite happy with that. So then I'm just going to finish off stitching him together. Throw my needle again. Okay, so I've just finished off that last couple of stitches there, and all these loose ends now I'm just going to tie one double knot around, one, oops, and two, and then I'm going to take all my loose ends and just trim it, and then I just fray these loose ends to make the tail. So just pulling apart all the different strands that make up one strand. And there we have our little tail. He's got a little tuft, this one. Ah, it'll grow. In fact, I think I'm just going to trim it a little bit less obvious. Give him a couple of layers. That looks a bit better. So there we have it. We've got 3 baby elephants now. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you do make any of these, please go across to the Facebook page and show me pictures. I'd love to see them when you finish them. Thanks ever so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.